All right. We are here tonight on Halloween, and I am still just getting a few things set up. I'm sure that's a shaka. All right. All right. All right. We're here. We're here on Halloween. I hope you are doing well. In case you want to know, I am dressed as a ghost. I'll show you my garb. Would you like that? How cute is that? All right. So I am in a ghost, which in case you're wondering, I got it from Target. That is what I have. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well. So I love, if you don't know anything about me, I'm Jan. I probably should be introducing myself on these. I'm Jan, I'm Dr. Jan, and I'm an expert in workplace bullying and workplace organizational culture, that sorts of things, which is probably why you're watching. And I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite, it's probably my favorite holiday. And I'm also, just for the record, sporting some ghost earrings, which I will put my hair back behind my ears so we can see those beautiful things. Anyway, I digress, but I thought we would have a Halloween themed chat today. And because there are a lot of, I mean, let's be honest, if you're being bullied, it's mighty creepy. Because some of the things that are happening to you are creepy, and you often wonder, is that real? Are those things happening to me? Because a lot of what bullies do is a lot of gaslighting, getting you to question your own credibility and what you see and you know is real. They get you to question some of those things. So one of the things I think that when it comes to workplace bullying, people will say that you're making a mountain out of a molehill, that it's all in your head, that what you think happened didn't happen, it wasn't that way. And so one of the myths is that we often think it's in your head, that you have an over exaggerated imagination or you're overreacting, right? Especially if you are a woman who's being bullied, right? We know that women are bullied at very, very high rates, that we're often accused of being emotional or overreacting to the abuse that we're taking at work. And it's not in your head, it's not real, it's not imaginative. Those things are happening to you. Okay, so bullies are very good at building alliances with people to lie for them. They often do things that are very subtle, and they often do things that undermine your work. And the other thing, especially if your boss is the bully, they will do things that, excuse me, my cat is playing with my feet, and I don't enjoy it. But they will do things, if they are your boss, that seem like everyday work, right? So they might criticize, undermine your work, even though those things are not based in reality, okay? Which is a problem. So if you're experiencing bullying, you're not overreacting, it's not in your head, you're not being too emotional or too, responding inappropriately. If you're being bullied, those are the things that your bullies and the organization, the people in your organization, are causing you to think, because they don't want you to stand firm in what you know is happening to you, and that's workplace bullying. One of the things I think also, when we're talking about spooky things, is that you can have a ghost-like boss, right? Or somebody who seems a little bit phantom-like or invisible, where they are doing a lot of things, again, goes back to this idea of subtle, that are very, very covert. It's like a sleight of the hand. It's not real overt, and it's very difficult oftentimes to spot. Okay, and because some of the stuff that bullies do is, again, it seems like it's minor, okay, because we know bullying behaviors range from minor to major and everything in between, that sometimes what they're doing does seem small, but in the context of bullying, it becomes a bigger puzzle or a bigger piece, right? So, for example, sometimes if a boss um, interrupts you, that's one small piece of candy that you have in your bucket full of bullying behaviors. And so you can't just look at that one piece of candy. You have to look at all the bullying behaviors in the bucket. And the other thing that the ghost like bully does is they will send their minions or their other little ghost like figures to do their bullying to you. And so then it seems like it's not them, it's this other person. And one of the things that is, they're very good at, and why that's so problematic for you when you're being bullied, is because when other people are engaging in bullying, and bystanders often do that, in fact, you might have more than one bully, right? A lot of times when we think of bullying, we think about that there's only one, but you might have multiple phantoms, right? Or phantom managers who are bullying you, and there's often more than one. And so what we know is that the traumatic effects from workplace bullying, if you have one bully, is um, problematic and difficult, causes problems both within your personal life, your health and mental health, your relationships, and also in your professional life. If there's more than one bully or more than one person who is ghosting you, yes, I am going to keep trying to weave in the term ghost. Those things are problems. I also know that wasn't the correct use of the term ghosting. So it becomes much more difficult when you have more layers of bullies. The trauma increases, okay? And also then what that happens when you have multiple bullies, it becomes much more difficult for you if you're wanting to report, or if you're wanting to try to seek help to get accountability. Because the more bullies you have, the more aligned they are together, and the more gaslighting and lies they tell to confirm what they want reality to be, which is often a direct contrast to what you're experiencing and what real reality is. Okay? And so it's very, very difficult. The other thing is, when it comes to bullying, one of you might be accused of, again, especially if you are a woman who is being bullied, again, that you have some vendetta, that you have some personality issue or personality conflict with this other person. And dare I say that someone might say or accuse you of being on a witch hunt, right? That somehow you have some problem with your boss who's the bully, and you're out to get them, and you're on a witch hunt to prove that they're doing something that they're not, right? And so you're just out there causing drama, okay? And again, when you're being bullied, you know you're being bullied, and when you try to rectify it, because bullying is built into the system, okay, it's not a steady when you're working in bully culture, you're not working in an organization that has a solid structure. You're working in an organization that is more like a haunted house, okay, where the structure is pretty rickety, okay, it's not stable. And sometimes when you step on something, it creaks or you get bullied, right? And because nobody wants to look into the problems within that house or that organization, it becomes infected and people buy into it, and it is sustained, okay? And so it's almost, again, it's like people don't see those ghost-like figures who we are going to call your bullies and bystanders, who are watching those things happen to you, because all they see is this facade of a solid organizational culture. But when they look closely, you can see that smoke dissipates and you see that haunted structure that's rotting away, that is evil and mean and hateful towards you. Okay, and it's the facade of that structure. Okay, if you can visualize that structure, that solid organizational structure that from the outside looks seemingly normal, but when you pull back that smoke and mirrors, what you see is that haunted house that is rotting through and through. But people don't want to take a deeper look. They're just fine walking by thinking that is an okay place to work. They don't want to look inside the structure that's falling apart and rotted. And not only is it rotted, it's hurting people and it's hurting you. And the reality is too, is we have this idea that the only person or the only thing that's being hurt in bully culture is you. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Are you being hurt? Absolutely, 100%. You're the one being hurt the most, okay? But the reality is, too, is bystanders are being hurt. So, and really, I think, too, bullies are like hamsters on wheels, right? They're like a witch on a broom that just keeps going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and they can't get off. And they're not growing personally, they're not growing professionally, and I find that to be harmful to them. And frankly, I feel sorry for the bullies because honestly, when you have to do and hurt people, right, that's that can't be good to that can't feel good to be walking in their shoes, right? So, and the other thing for organizations too that I just never can. I just can't seem to get my head around is why are you continuing to allow those things to happen when it 100% affects your bottom line? So when you fire somebody, you might fire the person, the very person who's doing the job, and you keep the bully or you keep the ghost that's infecting everyone. You don't get rid of them. That's costing you money. And I know a lot of times, again, organizations and organizational leaders think that people don't know. Well, they do know. Okay, and if you think that it's people can't pick up on that, they can, because it's not that hard to pick up on an organization that there are signs everywhere, right? There are signs everywhere that your organization is infected. Um, and so anyway, so yes, you'll be accused of being on a witch hunt. Okay. One of the other myths that we have about workplace bullying is we don't have a clear understanding of workplace trauma. Because when it comes to the idea and looking at trauma, we really focus on those things that are happening in your personal life, right? If you are in a domestic violence, or if there's been a sexual assault, or there's been a death in the family, a divorce, or whatever, another, some physical ailment or catastrophe or things like that, we think those are the things that cause us trauma. So we have a very narrow view of what causes trauma. And being in workplace bullying and being abused at work causes trauma. And the other thing is we, because we don't talk about it, we don't acknowledge workplace abuse, okay? Just like the other night, we call it incivility, things like that, is that we think that it doesn't, once you check out, somehow magically, when you check out, you clock out, you walk out of your building, that somehow magically the abuse that you've taken that day from your boss who has criticized you hasn't affected you, okay? Well, like it only affects you during the day, just like a vampire, right? So when if you go out in the sun, it might affect you. But if you're hiding behind the shadows, like a vampire, it doesn't affect you. That's a myth, okay? That's a myth. It does affect you. It affects everything you do. When I was being bullied, I drank a lot. I came home and drank a lot because I didn't want to feel that way. and it was like I had like weights on me. It was just like a heavy, heavy, heavy feeling over me all the time, that when I started to walk to my door, to my office door, so I would get into my car, shut my door, I put on music that I liked, okay? I listened to Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. I had a whole list. Actually, I made a playlist on YouTube about all of the songs that I tried to use to boost myself, to build my self-esteem back up, to really empower me. And I made a playlist on YouTube, and I recommend that you do those things. Is that you take care of yourself when you're away out of that haunted house called workplace bullying. Okay. Um, and then when I would get in my car, I drive to work. The closer I would get to work, it would be like that heavy feeling would get heavier. And there'd be some anxiety sort of, coming up from my stomach. You could feel kind of your muscles tense, and then I'd park my car and I had a little bit of walk to my office, and I'd get into this, okay, you know what, you got this, you just have to go in, do your job, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and then you're going to get out, you're not going to see anybody, you're going to keep your door closed, you've got this, Jan, you've got this. And I eventually got to the point where instead of taking a direct route right to my office door, I came in the door, I'd slink around, go up the back, and then come in so that nobody would see me. They wouldn't see that I was in my office, so they would leave me alone. Okay? Those things affect you. Okay? It affects your health, it affects your mental health, it affects your career, it affects every aspect of your life because of how difficult and problematic it is, coupled with the fact that you may not have anybody who believes you. Okay? I was lucky, I guess, if you could call it, that there were two of us who were really bullied, and we had each other's back. But I think I've told you this before. I talked to my family about it. It's like my siblings, okay, like my family's massively dysfunctional, but my siblings have never asked me about it, never talked to me about it. And my own son years later said, well, he didn't really believe that it was all that bad. And my other kids have never really say anything to me about it. So, I mean, you have to have people who believe you, okay? And I want you to know that if you're being bullied, I believe you. I know you're telling the truth, okay? I know that you are not on a witch hunt, you are telling the truth, and I want you to know that I believe you, okay? So it does take a big drain on who you are as a person. Okay, so one of the very first steps you can take today, I don't start tomorrow, today, after you watch this, I want you to do one thing for me, and that is figure out one thing that you can do for yourself every day that makes you happy. Look forward to that thing when you're feeling down and you think, the abuse is getting to you. You've got this one thing you can do every day. Let me know down in the comments what it is. Take care of yourself. You deserve it, okay? You don't deserve to be bullied. So let me know down in the comments what's the one thing you're going to start to do to take care of yourself that you look forward to today. Even if it's, I'm going to listen to my favorite song, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk, I'm just going to meditate for 5 minutes. Just let me know what it is, and don't wait. Start today. The other thing is that a lot of times people, I think once you try to stop it, maybe you've made a report or you've done something like that, is that you, just like kind of a mummy, if you just hope that you can wrap it sort of up and ignore it, right? If you just sort of go in, do your job, not think about things, that you're just going to be like a mommy, you're going to wrap it up, and that it's not going to affect you, right? Or that it's somehow that it will disappear, okay? The reality is, again, if you think of it sort of like the mummy's curse, the issue doesn't go away because you try to ignore it. the issue doesn't go away because you've tried to wrap it up. In fact, oftentimes when you try to respond, right, by ignoring it, right, a bully, it might actually get more intense, because one of the things that they're very skilled at is watching your every move and trying to develop strategies and tactics to counter how they think that you're reacting, right? So if they think you're trying to ignore it, it can actually get worse. Let's talk about yes, I'm gonna continue with one last Halloween reference, and that is, a lot of times people think that the bully is somehow similar to like a zombie. They're misunderstood, right? That, it's not that they're being, they're not bullying. It's just that they're not really out to hurt you or get you. They're just a misunderstood person, right? And the reality is they're not misunderstood. They're bullying because it's powerful. The organization has allowed them to continue. It empowers them, and that's why they're doing it. And if the organization would put the kibosh on it, stop and hold them accountable, right? Or, dare I add, if you would hold up a cross, or, throw holy water on the zombie, or whatever affects them, then those things would stop if organizations would hold them accountable, right? So the key is, when you have a bully in your organization, and that you recognize it. Okay, so a lot of people don't know what bullying is. They don't know the signs. They don't know the symptoms when it has affected their organization. And if you don't know what it is, then it's very difficult to address it. And one of the problems that we have when it comes to really looking at workplace bullying, most people still believe this idea that it's the person who's being bullied, the recipient and the bully, that paradigm, okay? And as a result of that, again, you think it's a personal issue, you think it's conflict, and you don't see it as an organizational issue that has affected everyone, where everyone has eaten a bite of the witch's apple, okay, and everyone is infected. And if you only think it's between two people, then you're failing to realize that everyone has eaten from the poison apple. And the problem, again, even if those two people go away, the poison apple is still sitting there on the table, and people are taking bites of it, and it continues and it continues and it continues. And so what is the best strategy when it comes to dealing with bullies? Well, I think you have to, dare I say, develop a witch's brew, so to speak. Okay, that's my final Halloween reference. And what I mean by that is, you have to really understand what's happening, where you're being bullied, when are you most at risk, who's doing it, what are the tactics, because what happened to me and how my bullies went after me may not be the same as your bullies. Right now, there may be similarities, but they might not be. And you have to understand the strategies and tactics that bullies are using, so that you can develop a witch's brew, to counter that. So that means, now I'll talk no more Halloween language, is that you can develop strategies to take care of yourself, develop a wellness at home and at work. You can develop strategies to counter the bully, okay? So for example, if they are yelling at you, or they're accusing you of something in a meeting, okay, and you don't know what to do, and you're trying to defend yourself because they're accusing you of one thing and you didn't do it, one of the strategies is really looking at what are better communication techniques than trying to respond to their lies. For example, if a bully is coming at you and telling you you didn't do anything and you know you did, okay, I don't think you ever have to defend yourself. So one strategy you might try is letting them, you know, go on and on and on, and just do some active listening, shaking your head, nodding your head, okay? And then you can respond with, you know, thank you, I appreciate your, thank you for sharing that with me. I did X, Y, and Z on such and such a day. And again, you know, I really appreciate your feedback. Should we keep going on with the meeting now? Right? So you just be very clear, frank, and short. Don't respond to the bully. Just state the facts, and then, you know, try to distract and go have somebody try to move it back to the meeting at hand or wherever you're at. So there are a ton of ways like that that you can respond in a way, basically, to, you know, hopefully not stop the bullying, right? Because if leadership or HR isn't going to help you stop it, it's difficult to stop. But you can reduce the trauma by developing a good witch's brew that you can utilize to help sort of take the bully down a few notches and reduce your own trauma and harm from that. So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful Halloween. I hope you are safe wherever you are. I think I gave myself an idea. So I think on Tuesday, the next live that we have, unless you have any ideas, you know what, I'm always open to that. I will talk about what do you do if you have multiple bullies bullying you, because I don't think that's one thing that I have talked about, but I know that that is super important. And I know that if you have one bully, two bullies is worse. And if you have two bullies, every additional bully on top of that first bully can be a handful and make it more difficult for you. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. Thank you again for being here. If you need anything, please let me know, and I'll see you on Tuesday.